Hey everyone, welcome back. This is episode 5. After we had a bit of a retool and a rethink what this challenge is going to be, so just trying to take back the most league wins record from Man United and topple Real Madrid as the kings of Europe, essentially. So with that in mind, at the end of last season, just as the transfer window opened, City came in with a bid for Diogo Jota. We managed to negotiate it up to around 75 million. He was never going to displace Luis Diaz on the left wing. I don't want to keep him round, just paying him his wages and having him potentially doing a John McGinn and getting agitated. So he went. I got a lot of bids for my kind of average youth players. The ones who are 2.5 to 3 stars. Now some of the 3-star ones can train on sometimes. You never really kind of tell. So what I've tended to do is, I used to negotiate a buyback clause into them so I could just kind of snap them back up again if they did train on. But what I've done is all the bids come in with a percentage of profit contribution, which I negotiate out and just negotiate back a 50% flat percentage of transfer fee. So if they do end up getting sold for 10 or 20 million, I'll get 5-10 million off the transfer fee. I do kind of wonder if I negotiate a buyback clause and the percentage of transfer fee, I could probably be buying back players for half their transfer value. Something I have to kind of give a look at that, I think. Thiago went to PSG. They came in with 35 million for him. He's still perfectly decent. He's 32 years old though, on 225k a week, and I'm looking at trying to get younger players in who are going to hold down a position for the next 5-10 seasons. So off he went. I put a bid in for, I kind of butcher his name now, is it Sheldrup or Skeldrup, for 7.5 million. Criminally low transfer fee for such a good player. He's my Luis Diaz understudy. I'll admit, my next bid that I put in, I'd seen a video by FM Scout for a striker called Vitor Roque, and if he's on the higher end of his potential ability, which I'm hoping that he is on mine, he could end up being the next like R9 and being my replacement for Salah, because I'm going to have a Mohamed Salah problem. He scored 60 plus goals last season. I think he's probably going to do similar this season. So, and he's 32. So I'm having to think ahead for a striker that can do the job that he's been doing for me. We then came to the Community Shield, played Tottenham and absolutely battered them 3-0. Salah scored, then Ibrahima Konate got in on it, and then Salah scored his third. Just absolutely played them off the park, which was a bit of a surprise. But usually Tottenham used to be something of a bogey team for me in previous Football Manager games, but doesn't seem to be this season. First game of the season, beat Chelsea 3-1. Salah got a goal, Vitor Roque got his first goal for the club, then Harvey Elliott, I think, got the goal. We were 3-0 up. Reece James got a consolation goal in the 70th something minute, but they never really looked like getting back in the game at all. Second game, just to make it easy, they put me against Man United. Diaz scored first, then Salah. Varane pulled one back for them, but Salah got a penalty in the 80th minute. Again, on stats, completely played them off the park, and that was even with Curtis Jones getting sent off in the 9th minute. So it was really, really good. It was around that time I'm recording things. I recorded the video, for the narration for the other episode, and decided to shift the channel around. So we kind of went a bit spent crazy with our next 2 transfers. I went in and met Jude Bellingham's transfer release clause of 85 million. So he'll come in and he'll just kind of, I think every other game I'll swap him with Savic and just kind of keep them bouncing around as my box-to-box midfielder. I then brought Gavi in for only 65 million. Now Gavi's another one that, if his potential ability is on the higher side, he could end up being as good as Iniesta, and he was only 65 million, but his wage demands are massive. First player I've kind of signed that's had that kind of crazy 500,000 transfer demands. So that could be kind of insane, just to wait and see. So transfers out, like I say, Jota went. He's never gonna break into the first team. I always end up selling Diogo Jota. he's a good kind of peripheral player. Same in reality, he's a good peripheral player for Liverpool, but he's not. I don't think he's the kind of player that takes Sadio Mane's place. I think that's why Liverpool brought in Darwin Núñez. I don't think they see Jota as the next big player. I think he's that kind of person who just kind of floats around. John McGinn sold for 25 million. Never really got back in the side after he spat his dummy out the pram over not playing enough, despite being a squad player. I'd love to do a more in-depth look and see what the breakdown is for how many games a player who's on a squad contract needs to play before they start getting upset. Because for me, a squad player is someone who's in a squad and gets rotated in and out the squad, which he was doing. He was playing League Cup games. He was taking over from Savic when Savic was struggling for fitness, and it wasn't enough. And he's not like it's not like it's Jude Bellingham. It's John McGinn he was brought in to be a cover player. So it was a bit baffling. And Thiago, like I said, for the reasons, he's 32 years old. Off he goes for 35 million. Get his wages off the books, although his wages are half of what Gavi's asking, but Gavi's 19. So yeah, so Sheldrup came in 7.5 million. He's another one. If his potential abilities on the higher side, he could just end up being one of the best left-sided wingers in the game, like by far. Vitor Roque for 20 million. If you can go find the video on FM Scout, go see the monster that he can turn into. Because like I said, I know I'm going to have a Mohamed Salah problem, because I've either got to buy a young player and hope he trains on enough in this season or 2 seasons so that he can take over when Salah retires or gets too old and loses his yard of pace. Or I've got to go out and buy someone who's in their late 20s that can kind of fill the gap, or someone else trains on, which I don't really want to do, because I don't think there's anyone on that kind of level of goal scorer that I can have that's going to do the same job. So Vitor Roque for 20 million. Jude Bellingham, 82 million. His stats are great now anyway. He'll slot in, do a really good box-to-box midfielder job for us, which I'm looking forward to. Gavi, 65 million. Like I say, if he can turn into the next Iniesta, then my midfield trio is Declan Rice, Bellingham and Gavi, which is a midfield that could hypothetically be my midfield for the next 10 years. So it's a no-brainer, really, especially with Harvey Elliott on the right wing as well. Sheldrup, who could train on and be the left wing. I've got some really good teenagers, early 20s players that can kind of just run the side, basically, for the next decade. I also brought in, some of you may know him from Juventus, Fabio Moretti. Again, another player who could, if his potential ability is high, could train on and be a fantastic player. Bought him on loan for the season with a 20 million buyout clause, so if he is looking like he could be a really good player, then 20 million looks like it's going to be a steal. So looking forward to it. Like we say, I've played Tottenham, Chelsea and Man United so far, and I've just done really, really well against them. So I'm hoping, I don't want to say it out loud, like, could this be the season that I go and do the 100% record in the Premier League? I'll have to wait and see. Okay, so I'll catch you on the next episode. Let's see where we're at.